You heard the beep, right?
Mm-hmm. I
see
did
the
hear
numbers.
them.
Okay.
I do.
All right. I am conducting research as part of my doctoral degree, and you've been selected to participate in this phase of my research. The topic of diversity is a wide-ranging one, and the lack of diversity in organizations has been in the news in various ways. My research seeks to identify the factors of diversity that both impact and do not impact project management, specifically in projects that deal with federal or state government projects. And before we start, take a moment to think about the areas of diversity that impact you or the organizations that you've worked at as a project manager. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to go through a few demographic questions. What is your age?
I'm 38.
Thank you. Where were you born?
Born in India. You want specific?
Sure.
I was born in Calcutta, West Bengal, India.
Okay, thank you. Do you consider yourself a member of an ethnic group, and if so, which one?
Indian ethnicity. I think that would be the most closest one I can get to.
Okay, and then what nationality are you?
United States,
Okay,
American.
thank you. Which sex do you identify with?
Female.
Thank you. Do you practice religion, and if so, which one do you identify with?
I practice Hinduism.
Okay, thank you. Do you speak more than one language, and if so, how many total?
I'm a multilingual. I speak a total of 8 languages.
Very good. I can't do that many.
I'm diverse even among Indians.
That is excellent. That is excellent. In regards to project management, what is your organizational role?
PM.
Okay. Are you a project management professional?
Yes.
What PMI chapter are you a member of?
Sacramento.
Thank you. And then what is your highest level of education?
Masters in Business Administration.
Okay. And then one last question. How many years of experience do you have in the project management career field?
Project management, I have total experience of 11 years,
Okay.
but my overall experience is 17.
All right. Thank you. Now on to the 10 questions. My first question, what areas of diversity have impacted you as a project manager working in government contractor organizations?
By impacted, you mean a negative impact or a positive impact?
Either one.
So I have had positive impacts all the while. I haven't had any kind of a negative impact. I think I've been working in public sector for quite some time now, and when I look at my career going back, I don't think I have ever had anybody say that, oh, you're Indian, that's why now you don't know stuff. Yeah, I don't understand couple of the very jokes or the humor that is said sometimes, and I had to ask, okay, what does that mean? I don't understand that humor. Sometimes they get confused with my accent. They go like, oh, you don't sound Indian, you sound more of a English. I'm like, no, I've never been to England. So those are the only things which I hear. But other than that, I've had positive experiences in state and federal. And anywhere that I go, I've been that PM group is a very tiny group. So what happens is, when I am in the meetings, most of the time I'm the only colored person. Or most of the time I'm the only colored and the female. So and at that time it's an uphill battle, but once they understand your capability, they immediately go, okay, you're part of us, and that's how it goes.
So and then do you feel that your diversity has helped you in any way?
It gives me a broader perspective to everything. I know both sides of the party. Now, I'm saying specifically for me, for being an Indian. Most of the jobs nowadays go all the way offshore to India. And sometimes for people who have been born and brought up here, it's very difficult for them to catch what they're trying to say. The phrases are different. They may mean the same, but they use a certain phrase, a certain way. Just to give an example, one of the guys said, I had to prepone this. No one has heard the word prepone till now. But it's a very common term used in India. You have a postpone, then you have a prepone. So you have to prepone this thing. So they were like, what is he trying to say? I'm like, it's opposite of postpone. So he's trying to say that he did it earlier than he should be doing it. So those things, so I catch those nuances faster, and it's very easy for me to translate. And since I've been here for so long and been in this kind of field for so long, I know how to merge both of them. So diversity really helps me that way.
That's very good, and it's almost like you requested the music to be played while you were.
Absolutely. Oh, come on. If Carol can have noise, I need to have noise.
So, in many ways, then the diversity in your experience has been a positive.
It's
aspect.
been always been positive so far.
Yes, yes,
Can't predict the future.
that's true. Yes. Question number 2: as a project manager, how would you prioritize the factors of diversity?
Among all my work, diversity does not come on my top 5 list, to be truthful. What I look as a project manager is expertise, capability, and the ability to do the work. Doesn't matter which part of the world they belong to. They may belong to Timbuktu and I don't care about it. If you are capable of doing the work, you're part of my team.
And then a sub question from that: how do you decide who's on your team? Is that something that you can manage yourself, or do you sort of inherit the teams?
So far, I've inherited the teams. Oh, look at
See?
these
I
Oh my
told
God. Oh, he's good. He's really good. I saw him through the.
the reflection
So
for the
I just lost.
for the transcriber. We're seeing gentlemen dance in a very
Animated
great
way.
Yes, yes. All right.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it doesn't come in one of my top 5. It's
Yeah.
a part of my. I most of the time I inherit the team. Wherever I go, they go like, "You're the PM. This is your team." I don't think I have ever had a chance to build my team from the scratch. But if I have to build my team from the scratch, diversity won't. It's not something which I'll be looking at. I won't be looking at, oh my God, oh, I have got 2 white. I need to have 1 African American, 1 black, 1 brown, and 1 olive. No, I don't look at those things. I like, okay, these guys are capable of doing it. Go ahead. If you're not capable of doing it, please go out of my team.
All right. Thank you. Question number 3: as a project manager, what area of diversity has most affected you personally?
Personally. Do you have any example that you can give me?
Again, it can be something positive or negative. Maybe something that you about yourself recognize as diverse. You mentioned earlier about being able to maybe pick up on
Nuances?
Yes, exactly. So in some ways, it's a positive for you. So along that frame of reference, maybe again something either positive or negative that you've seen.
Let me see. When it comes to diversity, generally in state and federal, the way it works is it's always a mixed bag. And our music just went away. It's generally a mixed bag. So you have a lot of, I've seen Indians, Chinese, I don't know, most whites and everyone, and in a big group. But I have just seen that everyone comes together very well. I haven't seen anyone even though they are so diverse, everyone's pretty. They're pretty friendly with each other. I do remember one incident because of diversity. Oh my God, that reminded me. That's a good one. So this is before I was a PM. I think I was a business analyst at that time. So it's one of my past lives things. And there was this one person who kept talking to me, assuming a certain religion, assuming a certain demographic on me, and started asking questions. And I'm like, I am well versed about it, but I can't give you specific because I'm not from that group. So if you ask me anything about, and then he goes, oh, okay. And then he goes back to it again. And he goes, okay. And he goes back to it. I'm like, hello, what in the world you're not understanding that I don't belong there, so I don't know much about it. Ask me about mine, I might be able to help you. I can't tell you what's happening in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
What are the rules over there? I've never been there.
So he assumed that you were.
So he assumed
Saudi.
I'm from Saudi Arabia or somewhere from Middle Eastern, and he kept saying, I'm nowhere close to Middle East. I'm southeast. Go further out. You might get some information. But he wasn't getting the whole facts. So at the end, I had to tell him, please, can you go up and take out a map and take a look where every country is?
Yes.
You might be able to get more information
So-
there. I didn't wanted to sound rude, but sorry.
More education is what he needed. Yes.
Oh yes.
And then you mentioned as a sub question from that, you mentioned that you have different groups of people that work with you, different shades, different cultures. Do you find that to be a positive then?
Yes, because each one is each one comes from a different background. Each one has a different have their own struggles, and each one comes in with their own expertise. So it is not it's not what they are or what they, because that's not in their hands. Where they are born, what they are doing, it's not in their hands. What's in their hands is how much expertise they are bringing onto the table, and most of them whom I work with are really good.
All right.
So it's like it's not. Yes, you do have dead weights, no doubt about that, and that is not again based off any shades. It's just they are dead weight. They are just there because of some reason that we are unaware of, and that's what.
So it makes me wonder this then, if you have, let's say you have the opposite. Let's say that you have only one homogenous group of people where you don't have those differences. I mean, it's hard to put ourselves in that situation, but if I guess, what would you imagine that to be? Do you think there's going to be as healthy of exchange of ideas?
No, that it may not be, because even in a homogeneous group, people do come from various backgrounds, but the basics, the basic upbringing, and the basic knowledge base is the same. They have studied in the same place, so the books that they have read is pretty similar. Yes, they might have expanded their knowledge by reading more, but the books that they have read as a child and the information they have received as a child is the same. Having a bigger group of different people brings in different perspective from various methods, and I see that some of them are very well read, and some of them, though they are not well read, but because of their upbringing, they have more information. So it just matches very well. I had a old friend of mine. She goes, just as an example. This was also during my business analyst time. During business analyst time, they used to talk more freely. When you get into the PM area, the group tends to mellow down a little bit, and you have a different kind of. They have a different outlook towards you, and you have a different outlook for them. So you don't. It's just like having the army where the general doesn't go too much into it. So it's something like that. So when I was a business analyst, this lady who used to sit right next to me used to say, one fine day came up, tapped on my shoulder and said, Veena, did you know that Christopher Columbus wasn't looking for America and he just by mistake came over here? Yeah. And I got a card, why are you bringing it up? She said, I just read it on the internet. I'm like, I know it from my second grade school. So I'm just giving you an idea.
So the internet can be useful, but
but what I'm saying is most of them came from the basic knowledge.
Yes.
So the group of those people actually didn't know that, but my education taught me when I was in second grade.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it makes a difference to have a diverse group of people
Yeah.
in a team.
Perfect, thank you. Next question. Which areas of diversity would you characterize or categorize as the least important ones in creating a project teamwork environment?
Which groups of diversity?
Which areas of diversity? Yeah.
Least important. Because nothing is least important. Everything is important. Then there should be diverse people. But again, as I say, for me, expertise and capability trumps over diversity. So it doesn't matter what it is, but expertise and capability trump over everything. If you're capable and you are a Caucasian, same capability, you're an Indian, same capability, you're Chinese, makes no difference to me. all of them are capable, then I would go on education. Then the next level goes education. Then the next level goes diversity. And oh no, second level goes for me is capable. You know how you gel with the team. Third goes capability. Education, and the last comes diversity from
So
there.
I guess in thinking that way, could education or background also be a factor of diversity itself?
Yes, it does. It makes some amount of difference over there.
All right. Thank you. Question number 5. To increase the rate of project success, what are the future areas of diversity that we as project managers need to consider?
The future areas, and looking at things in the present environment, I'm taking the present as a baseline. If I see that, what I see over here nowadays is people, the American crowd over here is not technically sound. I'm saying, the reason I'm saying the American crowd is, and not the shade, is because the Canadians and the English, even though they are Caucasians too, but they are very, very, very technically sound. The American crowd, irrespective of the color, is not very technically qualified or very strong in their math and engineering as much as people from the developing countries or Canada and England and Germany as well. So Europe and East are much more capable in math and science, and the capable of doing more technical work. I'm IT PM, so I'm going to just talk only based on IT, than the American crowd. So what I would prefer is what's done is done. But the new generation that's coming up, they need to have more avenues to learn how to be strong. They need to have a stronger internship to be able to come up. They should be given more chances. And another thing, they should be set up for failure. They initially at the intern level, they should be set up for failure, and they don't see failure at the start. They think that they know too much, and that's what comes. Failure comes later in life, and that's not a very good idea. So they should be set up for failure earlier, so that they learn faster. They are up on their foot faster. They can spring up and then do a better job everywhere.
So that relates, sub question from that relates to education in many ways, but I also, I was thinking about skills diversity. Is that something that you would maybe characterize that way?
It more like it's skills diversity.
Yeah.
Education and skill goes together. But yes, it's more on the skills diversity. That makes more sense over here.
All right, thank you. And then question number 6, to increase the rate of project success, what are the future areas of diversity that we as project managers need not consider?
Need not consider. We should not actually consider about, for me, diversity is not just the color, it's also about the gender as well. So we should not be considering whether a person is a certain race or should be a certain gender. It's what we should just consider is capability. Whether the person is capable to do the job that they are saying that they can do. That's the only thing that needs to be considered. Anything else is all secondary and tertiary. It doesn't need any. It doesn't need any importance. It doesn't have.
All right. So going back to one of the questions that you answered earlier, you mentioned initially that a lot of times, and you see it as a positive, but you said that you tend to be the only brown person and female in meetings or things like that. So is there a gap there?
Yes, there's a gap there because the upper management and mostly are male, and upper management is just not the male but also just men. It's also just Caucasian. So when they see a woman and specifically a non-Caucasian woman in a meeting room, they generally go, okay, how about you take notes? We are not note takers. It's not just note takers. We are much more than note takers. We've been trained to do much more. So I remember and I was a PM, and this was one of the companies that I worked with, and I was the only woman, and they go like, so Veena, you are here to take notes. I'm like, are you giving me an option? Then I would say, how about you start off the thing, then we'll go round robin. By the time my turn comes, I will take one, but let's finish the 12 of you first, and then I'll do the last. So